let us take up this conjugate beam method for evaluating that slope and deflection in determinate beams. First, let us define what is this conjugate beam. What is meant by a conjugate beam? So that if you have understood, then things will be very simple. This conjugate beam is nothing but an imaginary beam. So the actual beam given in the given problem, we call that as real beam. Real beam. And the conjugate beam of that real beam, whatever is there, we have to write for that real beam another imaginary beam, and we have to do the calculation in that imaginary beam. That's all here. So this conjugate beam is nothing but an imaginary beam, right? And or which is similar to real beam in geometry. Geometry means length, area of cross section. So they are same as that of the given real beam. But loading case and load on the beam, conjugate beam, and boundary conditions of this conjugate beam, it will differ from the real beam. I will give you what are those differences between the conjugate beam and the real beam in terms of loading and boundary conditions. In terms of loading, in the real beam, whatever gravity load is there, concentrated load, UDL, moment, it will be there. But in conjugate beam, loading will be loading on that conjugate beam will be M by A diagram. Whatever bending moment diagram for real beam you are going to get, that bending moment diagram fully you load it on this imaginary beam. Its geometry, the span remains same. On that entire span, that load will be M by A diagram. That's the difference in that imaginary beam. Then the boundary conditions. The fixed boundary condition in the real beam becomes free boundary condition in case of conjugate beam. And similarly, the free boundary condition will become fixed boundary. And there is no change in simply supported beam, simply supported boundary condition or hinged boundary condition. And if it is a continuous line, it becomes an internal hinge. That's all. These boundary condition change, loading case change. If you remember, then for given real beam, draw the bending moment diagram for given loading cases, that write the corresponding conjugate beam of that real beam. That's all. If you write the conjugate beam, then you find the bending moment at any point where you have to determine deflection. You have to determine the bending moment diagram. It is also a beam only, conjugate beam. So in that conjugate beam, with this MIA diagram, load and change in boundary condition, you determine in the usual way shear force and bending moment at any point. The shear force at any point will give you slope, bending moment at any point of the conjugate beam will give you deflection. That's all the theory behind conjugate beam. I have given you the definition of conjugate beam. I have told how to write a conjugate beam. Then I have told how to find slope and deflection in case of conjugate beam. The slope and deflection are nothing but shear force and bending moment diagram, bending moment in the conjugate. That's all. If you remember this much, then you can work all those determinate beams. That's why I have given before the bending moment diagram, because load on this conjugate beam has to be M divided by EI value. So even if EI is changed in the given span, the problem is given, then that also we can work out on similar lines. Only thing is bending moment diagram ordinates. You have to divide by the corresponding EI value in that region. Except that there is no other change. So that we can note down. So the conjugate beam is defined as an imaginary beam. It's an imaginary beam similar to the conjugate beam for a given real beam. Say, for a given real beam is defined as an imaginary beam similar to the real beam, similar to real beam in geometry, that is span and area of cross section, that is said, that is given similar to geometry, that is span and area of cross section. It is said similar to similar beam similar to the given real beam in geometry with and with the following changes in loading and boundary conditions. It is similar to real beam in geometry, but loading wise as well as the boundary condition wise, it is changed. That change I am going to indicate it here. Right? The loading on conjugate beam is the M by EI diagram, of real beam for given loading. Whatever given loading is there in the real beam, for that you draw the minimum diagram. That diagram itself you have to load it on this imaginary beam. That is the change with respect to load. Then second change, so the fixed end becomes free end. The fixed end becomes free end in conjugate beam. The fixed end in real beam becomes free end in conjugate beam. Similarly, the free end becomes fixed end in conjugate beam, or vice versa. Then there is no change. There is no change with respect to hinge or simple supports. Even roller of there is no
changes.
Simple, I have told, that takes care of. There is no change. You have to keep that boundary conditions. And this also you can take it. The continuous end, because we don't have that continuous end except in overhang. That overhang portion continuous end, you can take it, that's all. Of course, the takeoff problem is rarely occurs. You forget it, only cantilever end, simply supported. So, but overhang also is there, so you can take this. The continuous ends or joints becomes internal hinge in conjugate beam, or vice versa. Internal hinge becomes continuous. So this can remember. That is with respect to diagram. So we can say here beam, say conjugate beam, corresponding conjugate beam. So if the real beam is a cantilever like that, say, then the corresponding conjugate beam, geometry remains same, I have told. Here also it should be of same geometry, same length. Cross section also should be same. But fixed boundary condition will become free. Free will become fixed. Yes, yeah. Okay. So this is that conjugate beam. Conjugate beam of a cantilever like this. The corresponding conjugate beam of real beam like this will be like that. It looks like that. Similarly, suppose if this is the way of given beam, real beam, then it is the other way. It becomes like that. So that takes care of this, whatever I have told here. The loading, of course, loading I have not considered because M diagram, whatever is there, which I have already given, that you take that and load it on the conjugate beam. Real beam, whatever load is there, for that whatever bending moment diagram you are going to get, that you have to load it. That's all. Conjugate beam. Then here fixed end becomes free, free end becomes fixed, and there is no change in this. Suppose if the real beam is like that, hinge, like that. So there is no change. This also, it remains same. No change. L and A is equal to constant. If A is constant, A will be there. If here it is very 2A, there 2A. And the M diagram also you have to divide that, solve the chain. Even non-prismatic also you can solve it in the by conjugate beam method. Then continuous end. Suppose if this is the overhang beam problem given like that. This is the beam given L and this is A. Then this is simple support. The geometry it remains same, right? Here this support it remains same, right? This fixed here free end it will become fixed end, and here this is the continuous end. It is not simple support, it's continuous here because there is a span adjacent to that. This becomes an internal hinge. This becomes an internal hinge. This is A, this is yeah. This is the corresponding conjugate. I hope I made all the points which I have defined clear by means of a diagram. For determinate beams, what you are going to get, that is cantilevers, simply supported beam. So given a beam, real beam is given beam. How to write the corresponding conjugate? This property or this point you have to remember before working the problem. That is before doing kinematic analysis of determinate beams. And you should know the knowledge of bending moment diagram.
That conjugate beam is also determinate one, sir. Fixed and hinged. It's also determinate because of internal hinge.
No, it is not indeterminate.
It is determinate.
It is because determinate is there. One more condition you are going to get. Extra condition.
Yes, sir.
It is determinate only. That property will not at all alter.
Yes, sir.
That's all. That alteration is only with respect to boundary conditions and loading. Geometry and other determinacy will not alter at all. And the static indeterminacy, kinematic determinacy also will not alter. That degree will remain same. Right?
Yes.
Now we will take up simple examples, cantilever, simply supported, and we work on by conjugate beam. Next we will take up area moment method. Here, the remaining things you can just work it in the tutorial class. So we can say find the maximum slope and deflection. Find the maximum slope and deflection in the following beams. In the following beams by conjugate beam method. I will take up about a dozen of problem or less than that. So I will work 50% of that here, remaining you can work it. That completes this conjugate beam method or kinematic analysis of determinate beams. First problem, you can take this W N. Standard example, cases I will take. And here is constant. Then this is first example. Second example, UDL of W per unit length. I will work on general problems. You can take any numerical value here. 50 kilonewtons, 100, here also whatever value which is there. And span also you can fill it up. So I have asked maximum slope and deflection. In cantilever, you can remember as a rule. In cantilever, maximum slope and deflection occurs at free end. In simply supported end, the maximum slope occurs at the supports, simple supports. And maximum deflection occurs at under maximum load, maximum concentrated load, where it is acting. Under that you can expect maximum deflection. That you have to remember. If you remember that, then straight away these values you can determine by conjugate beam method. So in the one point I have forgot to tell. So in the conjugate beam, the moment you write the conjugate beam, you determine at any point the shear force and bending moment diagram. This conjugate beam is also a beam. At any point you determine shear force and bending moment. So that shear force and bending moment at any point in the conjugate beam, it will give you slope and deflection at that point. That's what we have to determine. That's as simple as that. So that is called conjugate beam method. So you have to write conjugate beam, and in that conjugate beam you have to evaluate the shear force and bending moment at any point in the conjugate beam, because load will be M by A diagram. So you apply same definition of shear force and bending moment at any section. Evaluate shear force and bending moment at that section. That will give you shear force at that section will give you slope. Bending moment will give you deflection. That point I forgot to tell, so that you remember. Right? In this problem, you can determine all those. Write the conjugate beam for this problem. Write the bending moment diagram. Write the conjugate beam means load that by M by A diagram, and find maximum slope and maximum deflection, which I told it will occur at the free end. You find bending moment and shear force in the conjugate beam of these at free end. You determine, you get slope and deflection. That's all the thing. So you take another, this is second example. You take a moment M, and all those things, whatever bending moment diagram I have given, the same cases you can take. Then these 4 problems. Then 5th problem, you can take simply supported beam with load P, A, B and N. This is 5th, 6th. You can take here maximum slope occurs at the ends. Maximum deflection occurs at the center point. Here also, when UDL is there, maximum, because it will deflect like this, maximum slope occurs at the ends, maximum deflection occurs at the center. This A, B, L, this is the unit. Here, maximum slope and deflection, you are going to get all this cantilever. You can evaluate those points. Here. So this is 6th problem, 7th problem. L, and of course L is constant. All these cases, L is constant. Because it is prismatic beams. Non-prismatic also I will give it and work that on this. So here you take a moment M. Here also, naturally when it is given applied moment is like that, it will deflect like that, maximum slope will be at the center, deflection will be at the center. So you can take this. Here find only theta A and theta B. Here also find theta A, theta B. You can determine. This is A, this is L, this is L. So this is 7, 8 problem. Another 2 problems. Because non-prismatic also, you can take it. Or I will give 20 kilonewtons, 3 meters, 3 meters. EI, this is EI. So we can find theta A, theta B, and
Theta C.
YC.
I see.
Right. This is 9th problem. Another problem. Find YC and theta C. It is
YC, theta C.
YC and theta C.
So you can also determine if we ask
theta
theta
B
B,
also you can determine if you want. And YB also
YB
you
also.
can find.
Yes.
That will take care. So So this is 10. Then I told you about the sun, and it is okay. So you can work it out. I will, for example, I will work some problems, 2, 3, whatever is possible. I will show you the procedure, right? With reference to this one problem on cantilever I will work, one problem on simply supported I will work, one problem on this non-prismatic beam. 3 problems I will work here, so that covers the conjugate beam. So you can work the remaining problem in the tutorial class. So this completes the conjugate beam method of finding the slope and deflection. So next I will take up area moment. That completes your unit 3. Okay. So let us take up one simple problem, sample problems in cantilever, simply supported, and this. So here, shall I take this?
yes.
Very simple. That's a very simple case, and I will take it. So, third problem, I will take it. So this is the problem. Find maximum slope and maximum deflection for this cantilever L, E, I. So I told you cantilever with problems, always maximum slope and deflection occurs at free end. You call this AB. So that you first say maximum slope and deflection occurs at free end B. So you can just sketch it and show, because moment will be acting like that. Originally it is straight. When moment acts like this, it has to deflect in this fashion. I will show to you exact at scale. Here it is fixed end, no displacement. Here this. Then as per our definition, I have to find slope at this free end. I have to draw a tangent at free end. I will take original horizontal direction, whatever angle that particular tangent to the elastic curve it makes. That is how I define.
Yes, sir.
This is the elastic curve, deflected shape. This is the tangent at that free end. This is that deflection. So slope, which I have to determine. Deflection is the vertical distance of this point. This tangent at this point, I have to find out. 1p. So theta b, that is theta b and 1b. You have to evaluate. That is sketching. YB is always down, theta b, because body moment is clockwise. If it is anti-clockwise, it will deflect in the upward direction. That's all the change. But you indicate it. Don't bother about sign. Right? Just sketch this and indicate where that slope and deflection are occurring. That direction will be shown. Now, the bending moment diagram for this loading. I told you the bending moment diagram will be a triangle, rectangle. Correct? I have given in the beginning itself.
Yes.
For cantilever subject to end movement, the bending moment diagram will be M negative. So this is your BMD or M diagram. M diagram. Bending moment.
So first we have to write conjugate beam, right, sir?
I will write it afterwards. For the given beam, I will write the bending moment diagram.
Okay, sir.
I have not yet written conjugate beam.
Yes.
So I am just in the preliminary stage. Given beam I have taken, I have indicated what is that I have to determine. Maximum slope and deflection. So you know where it occurs. I have shown that. Direction also I have shown. Clockwise rotation and downward deflection. These two we have to determine. And bending moment diagram for the given beam. Only real beam I am doing. This is that. So and its center of gravity will be here at a distance is equal. This is your L. Bending moment diagram. L by 2 you will get it. So at that point this total area will be acting. Bending moment diagram area. Bending moment diagram area will be N into M. That's all. That much remember. You can remember. Then, so you can say here the BMD for given loading is as in figure. I have shown this much. Then the corresponding conjugate beam is as shown below. Now you write the conjugate beam for this. By definition, I told conjugate beam is similar to real beam in geometry. That means the conjugate beam span should be same and EI also should be same, cross-sectional. And boundary conditions and loading will be different. So the boundary condition fixed end in the given beam will become free. Free end will become fixed. That has satisfied the boundary conditions. Actually. And load on this, load there it is moment, given load. But here, loading on this conjugate beam will be M divided by here. That ordinate whatever is there, that you divide by corresponding EI for that location. So here, the loading will be, this is the M diagram. Correct? So this, it will be M divided by EI. Each ordinate I have to divide by. So this is the loading on that conjugate beam. This is your conjugate beam. Correct? This is a very important thing. So I have taken the real beam, I have drawn the bending moment diagram as standard case whatever given, then write the corresponding conjugate beam by remembering the definition. Then in this conjugate beam, determine shear force and bending moment at the point where you have to determine the slope and deflection. right? Shear force and bending moment diagram. You can determine here, you will get slope and that's all it is. So you can say then it's as shown in figure, then the shear force and bending moment at B. That's where we have to determine slope and deflection. So bending moment and shear force at B will at B of conjugate B, at B of conjugate B will be the slope, required slope theta B and deflection. Right. So now you determine slope and deflection. So that means here you have to find shear force, that's the reaction, and bending moment. Because this diagram is negative, don't bother about its sign. So you take this, it is in the clockwise direction, you take like that. Right. So slope also has to be down only, or upward in the opposite direction, and here is right, that you can straight away. Therefore, theta B is equal to. How do you define shear force at any section? You take this section towards left. You take left. You take it left of B. So it is algebraic sum of all the load. Algebraic sum of all load means it is the total load. Total load means area of this figure. That is nothing but this is rectangle, that is L into M by L. L into
M by
A. That's all the total load.
ML by A.
Right? That will be acting here at the center of this.
Yes.
So L into M by A. That is nothing but ML by
Yeah.
L. That is your slope.
So,
And deflection, YB. It is nothing but bending moment at B. That's what I have told here. Shear force and bending moment at B. How do you define bending moment at B? It is the algebraic sum of all moments due to all loads, either towards left or right of that section. Here it is only towards left. So algebraic sum of moment, only one load is there. So what is that? Moment due to that load.
ML by A into L by 2.
This total load is nothing but ML by A only. That is ML by L, and which will be acting at the centroid, which is at a distance
L by 2.
L by 2. That's why I gave you in the beginning standard area of bending moment diagram figures and then centroid equation. That you have to remember anyway. So that is at L by 2. That is nothing but ML squared by
2A.
2L. That's all.
Sign convention.
You need not write anything, it's only definition I have told here.
Yes, sir.
The slope and deflection in the real beam at that point will be the shear force and bending moment diagram in the conjugate beam. You are writing conjugate beam. It's also a beam, imaginary beam. In that imaginary beam, you are finding again shear force and bending moment at the point where you have to find.
But here also, because of load application, it is acting in downward direction.
The direction you don't have to bother, I told. Here you are giving that sign. Here you say it is in the clockwise direction. Here you say it is downward. Don't write anything, only write the magnitude. Here it will take care about the sign. Otherwise you will confuse. Because load also we have to take clockwise moment, positive, those things we have to define. So you will never do the problem. You will go on confusing so many things. Load and direction of measuring the distance and all those things will come into picture. You will invariably go wrong. Simply don't bother about their direction. Hogging, sagging moment, all those things. Simply write this sketch clearly. You know the direction. This you can write. How it is deflecting you can write. Because cantilever always like this. Because load is always gravity load. Always deflection has to be like that. If it is this way cantilever, it is the other way. If it load is given upwards, it is upwards. That's all. Here, where sagging I have shown, always it will be like that. Here it is down, here it is up. I have taken clockwise movement.
Yes.
Up. So here it will be clockwise, that you have to say. So that direction at the end, you show it. So these are the steps you have to follow in conjugate beam. It's a very simple process. Likewise, these two you can finish. That also. This, it is only half rectangle. And only by taking moment, this total distance, this also I have to take. This B plus
half.
Or L minus this.
L by 2
But
by
A
2.
by 2.
Yes.
Whatever it is. Either one
A
you
by
do it.
yes.
So all these I have completed. So you can work. I have explained how to proceed with the calculation. Now here, again, shall I work this
Yes, sir.
or this, I will work this. Okay? We'll take this UDL. WL. So others on similar line can work. So I will take up this problem. Here, load is like that. Beam has to reflect in this fashion. This is A, this is B. Here at A, you draw a tangent to the elastic current. At B also, you draw a tangent to the elastic current. Here, this original direction, whatever angle is there with respect to tangent, that is slope at A, this is slope at B, that is maximum, I told. In simply supported beam, maximum slope occurs only at the support. So we can say in simply supported beam, in simply supported beam, maximum slope occurs at ends, end supports. So that's what here also I have told maximum slope and deflection when it occurs, because that's what we have to determine. So as in theta. And maximum deflection under maximum load. Here only one type of load that will be acting at the center. So maximum deflection occurs here. Right? So resultant load will occur here. It is UDL, resultant will be at the center under that point. Otherwise, if you have concentrated load, under the heavier concentrated load, you can expect deflection. That's all. Or they themselves will give in problem, as I have told here, find by C, by B like that. So at that point, you have to find out. Here is known as in figure, so that is theta A, theta B, and y max. That's what you have to determine, as I have done in that. Right? So shape is also like that. So theta A will be clockwise, theta B will be anti-clockwise, y max will be downwards. That's how you have to show at the end. Otherwise, don't bother about sign convention at all. So next step, I have to draw the Petitbone diagram. So what is the Petitbone diagram for this case?
Parabolic.
It is parabolic
WL square by 8.
and it is maximum ordinate will be at the center. This will be W L square by 8 and this is AB and this point I will call C point. Okay? That's so this will require this of course L is a B. That's it. So we can say the corresponding BMD is as in figure. Like that. Is as in figure. Then conjugate beam. Then conjugate beam product. How to draw conjugate beam? So geometry wise, it is same, right? Then it is simply suppose that ends here, that will not alter these two,
as it is.
right? Given beam and conjugate beam, one and same. Loading will be M by A diagram. So A is constant, so here this will be W L squared by 8
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is your conjugate. This you have to write it correctly, and this also have to do it correctly. This you have to identify correctly what is that you have to do. There you should not do it. Then you know by definition of conjugate beam. So the shear force and bending moment at the point where you have to find the displacement. So at that point you find shear force and bending moment. So that means you find shear force at A, shear force at B, and bending moment at C of this conjugate B. You will get theta A, theta B, and
Y max.
C with these directions. If this is clear, then calculations you know how to find shear force bending moment. So we know the shear force at A and B the shear force at A and B of conjugate B will give theta A and theta B, and bending moment at C of conjugate beam will give YC. That's all. Bending moment at that section of this conjugate beam. Therefore, theta A equals, what is the shear force? You find the reaction here. What is the reaction here? Because loading is symmetric. Half the load here, half the load here. So load is parabolic load. What is that parabolic load area? Parabolic load area is 2 times LH. That is 2 times L is L itself. What is H?
WL square by
8 EI. That is the area. That is the total load. That will be acting here at the center. And half of this area will be the reaction. So half of this will be the reaction. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
That's a straight line, I can write it. So this is nothing but WL cubed by 24
EI.
So that is your. Similarly,
Theta B is also
WL cubed by
24 EI.
So I have evaluated this theta A, theta. Then Y max. That also I have told it is nothing but bending moment at C. So this is the section C. Either you have to take moment of all loads towards left or towards right and evaluate. So I will take left. Both are same. So this RA into this distance, which is nothing but L by 2. Right? RA is nothing but your theta A. That is W L cubed by 24 EI. Correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
That is this reaction into
L by
2. L by 2. That is clockwise. Right? So this is other way, because this is what I told. So minus this area.
Yes, sir.
This area is, I have given, which is nothing but parabolic 2/3, this times, and this, W square by 20. That is minus 2/3 L by 2 into WL square by
88.
8 EI, that's the area of this. That will be acting here, which is at a distance, is nothing but 3 by 8 into L by 2. 3L by 8. Here L is L by 2, that you have to be careful. This is 3/8 of L by 2. So, into 3/8 of L by 2. So, that is nothing but WL4 by 48 EI minus, this is WL4 L square
L4.
L4, and this 3 get cancelled, 2 get cancelled. You have 8 into 8, 64
128.
into 2, 128.
8.
Now you take LCM of 48 and 128. What is that? 48 and 128 LCM. 384.
Yes, sir.
Just check. Yes. 4 into 2, 8, 60 into 3, 48 into 8. 48 into 8. You get that.
384.
Okay. 384 is the LCM. 384 is EI. So for 384 by 48.
8.
Huh?
8.
8.
40. Yes, sir.
8.
8.
WL4
WL4.
minus, this will be 384 by 128, 3.
3.
So this is nothing but 5W L4 by
384.
384 EI. This is standard and Y max. The maximum deflection for simply supported beam subjected to UDL is 5 by 384 WL4 by EI. These things you can remember, whatever the cases I have given, that problem, those cases, deflection and slope, you can remember always. They are all standard. Like that you can work non-prismatic also. If any problem is there, note it in. Next class I will take up area movement method. So only thing is you have to work all these problems and submit it.